My friend kept inviting themselves over for dinner without bringing anything, so I started ordering takeout just for myself. They whined, "Why didn't you make enough for me?" I smirked and said, "I didn't invite you. Let me tell you about Luana." Luana was one of those people you meet and think, "Oh, she seems nice." She had this bubbly, fun personality that made her easy to like at first. But it didn't take long to realize she was a freeloader in the most annoying way possible. I live in Asheville, North Carolina, in a small but cozy house I'm proud of. I've worked hard to create a comfortable, peaceful life for myself. Cooking dinner, sipping on a glass of wine, and watching true crime shows after a long day at work is my version of happiness. I'm a private person. I like my space, I like my quiet, and I love my routines. But Luana didn't respect any of that. I met her through a mutual friend, and at first, I didn't mind when she randomly stopped by. She was fun to talk to, and I didn't mind a little company once in a while. But then it started happening more often, always around dinner time. The first time it felt like a coincidence. I had just pulled a chicken casserole out of the oven when my doorbell rang. There she was smiling like she just won the lottery. "Oh my gosh, it smells amazing in here," she said as she practically pushed her way into my house. Before I knew it, she was standing in my kitchen, staring at the casserole. I didn't have the heart to tell her no, so I grabbed a couple of plates. She piled hers high like she hadn't eaten all day, and I ended up with the smallest portion. But whatever, it was just one night, right? Wrong. A few days later, it happened again. I was making tacos, and right as I was setting the table, there she was at the door. "Wow, taco night," she said, walking in without even waiting for me to invite her again. She helped herself like it was her God-given right. No offer to pitch in? No, "Hey, let me bring something next time." Just a quick thanks for dinner on her way out. After the fourth or fifth time, it became clear this wasn't just a random thing. Luana had figured out I was a decent cook, and now she was treating my house like her personal restaurant. She always had some excuse for showing up. "Oh, I was just in the neighborhood," or "I was running errands nearby and thought I'd swing by." Never mind that she lived a good 15 minutes away and that there were no stores or errands near my house. I started feeling annoyed, but didn't want to be rude. I tried dropping hints. One night, I told her I had only made enough soup for myself. She laughed and said, "Oh, don't worry, I don't need much," and ladled herself a giant bowl before I could stop her. Another time, I joked about how lucky she was to always show up when dinner was ready, and she just grinned and said, "It's like I have perfect timing." Perfect timing, my ass. The final straw came one Friday night. I'd had a long, awful day at work and just wanted to relax. I made myself a big bowl of spaghetti carbonara, poured a glass of red wine, and settled in to watch my favorite show. Just as I was twirling my first bite of pasta onto my fork, the doorbell rang. I opened the door, and there she was, holding a shopping bag. "Hey, I bought some stuff earlier and thought I'd stop by for a minute." She walked in without waiting for me to respond. "Oh, you're having carbonara. Yum." I stared at her. "Yeah, I just made it for myself," I said, trying to hint that she wasn't welcome to it. "Oh, I'm starving," she said, sitting down at my table like it was the most normal thing in the world. "Can I have a plate?" I wanted to scream. Instead, I got up, grabbed a clean plate, and gave her half my dinner. She ate happily and then left as usual, chirping, "Thanks for dinner. You're the best." That night, as I cleaned up what was left of my dinner, I decided enough was enough. I didn't want to be confrontational. I hate confrontation. But I wasn't about to keep feeding someone who had zero respect for me or my boundaries. The next time Luana showed up unannounced, I was ready. I had ordered takeout just for myself, one small portion of sushi. When she came in and saw the single container on my table, she looked confused. "You didn't cook?" she asked, her voice almost accusatory. "Nope," I said casually. "I didn't feel like it tonight." She frowned. "Oh, what's that?" She pointed at my sushi. "Just something I ordered," I said while popping a piece into my mouth. She stared at me for a second, like she couldn't believe I wasn't offering to share. Then she sighed dramatically. "I guess I'll just grab something on the way home." "Good idea," I said sweetly. After that, I started ordering takeout every time she came over. Pizza for one, Chinese for one, burgers for one. Each time her face fell a little more. "You didn't make enough for me?" She whined one night when I had a single serving of pad thai sitting in front of me. "I didn't know you were coming," I said with a shrug. "I only ordered enough for myself." She huffed and mumbled something about how I could have ordered more. I just smiled and kept eating. By this point, she was starting to get the hint. But she was stubborn. She kept showing up, and I kept ordering for one. I knew it was petty, but honestly, it felt good. I didn't owe her anything. If she wanted a free meal, she could at least ask first. Or better yet, bring something to contribute. Weeks went by, and Luana kept up her little game, but I wasn't backing down. Every time she dropped by uninvited, I had my takeout for one strategy ready, and every time she left looking more annoyed. I could tell she was starting to get irritated that her free meals were no longer guaranteed. But then she pulled a move I didn't see coming. It was a Wednesday night, and I had just gotten home from work. I was exhausted, running on fumes, and dreading the thought of even boiling water for pasta. So I decided to order takeout again. I grabbed my phone, placed my usual sushi order, and settled into the couch to wait. Not even 20 minutes later, I heard the familiar ding-dong of my doorbell. My stomach sank. I already knew who it was. I opened the door, and there she was, all smiles. But this time, she wasn't empty-handed. She had a grocery bag dangling from her arm. "Hey, I thought I'd swing by and surprise you," she chirped, stepping inside before I could say a word. "And look, I even brought some stuff to help with dinner." I blinked, unsure what to say. On one hand, it was the first time she had ever brought anything. On the other hand, it was obvious she was trying to weasel her way back into my meals. I glanced at the bag. Inside, there was half a loaf of white bread, a jar of cheap marinara sauce, and a bag of pre-shredded mozzarella. That's nice of you, but I've already ordered takeout," I said, trying to keep my voice neutral. Her face dropped. "Oh." Her tone went flat, but a second later, her smile was back. "Well, that's okay. I can cook this here, and we can eat together." She breezed past me into the kitchen, plopping the bag onto my counter like she owned the place. Now I was pissed. She wasn't just inviting herself over, she was inviting herself into my kitchen. But instead of exploding, I walked over to the counter, picked up her grocery bag, and handed it back to her. "I appreciate the gesture, but I've had a long day and really just want to eat my takeout and relax," I said firmly. She blinked at me, stunned. "Are you serious? I brought this all the way over here. I didn't budge, and I didn't ask you to." For a moment, she just stood there glaring at me. Then she huffed, snatched the bag out of my hands, and stormed out the door without another word. I thought that would be the end of it. I thought she had finally gotten the message. But no, Luana wasn't done yet. A few days later, while at work, my phone buzzed with a text from her. "Hey, what's for dinner tonight? I'm in the mood for something good." I stared at my phone, completely dumbfounded. Was she serious after everything? I didn't even respond. I just put my phone down and went back to work. But then the text kept coming. "Should I bring wine? I can be there by 6. Hello? Don't leave me hanging." I didn't reply to a single one. I figured she'd take the hint. But when I got home that evening, guess who was waiting for me on my porch? Yep, Luana. She was sitting on the steps, scrolling through her phone like it was the most normal thing in the world. When I got out of my car, she looked up and waved. "Hey, I was starting to think you weren't coming home." I didn't even bother hiding my irritation. "What are you doing here?" Luana grinned like we were best friends. "I figured you didn't see my texts." I stared at her, sitting on my porch steps like it was the most normal thing in the world. The sky was already darkening, and I was exhausted. After a long and stressful day at work, the last thing I wanted was to deal with Luana again. I crossed my arms and took a deep breath. I saw them. I just didn't think they needed a response. She let out a forced laugh and shook her head. "Wow, so rude. I just wanted to know what's for dinner tonight. You've been so selfish lately." My exhaustion instantly turned into anger. Selfish? Because I don't want you to keep showing up uninvited and eating my food without ever bringing anything. She scoffed and rolled her eyes. "Ugh, listen to yourself. You make me sound like a parasite or something. I just like spending time with you. But all you care about is money, food, and rules. Life doesn't have to be like that, you know?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Life doesn't have to be like that? Then how is it supposed to be? I work hard to pay my bills, buy my food, and maintain my house. And you think you can just show up and help yourself because what? Because you enjoy my company? She sighed like I was a child who just didn't understand. "You're a man. You wouldn't get it. Everything is easy for you. You work, you get paid, and that's it. For me, it's not like that. I make less, everything is more expensive, and I have so much more to deal with. Do you have any idea how much groceries cost these days? Do you know how long it takes to cook?" My jaw dropped. "Are you serious right now? You want me to feel sorry for you because you don't want to spend money on food? Everyone has to buy food, Luana. That's just part of life." She crossed her arms and pouted. "Yeah, but not everyone has to be so selfish. You always cook these amazing meals, and you have a nice house. Would it kill you to share a little?" I ran a hand down my face, trying to stay calm. "Luana, you're missing the point. It's not about sharing. It's about respect. You don't ask, you don't contribute. You just show up and eat like it's your right. That's not sharing. That's taking advantage." She stood up and put her hands on her hips. Oh, so that's how you see me? As a freeloader? You think I enjoy relying on other people's kindness? You think I don't want to be able to buy my own food without worrying? I didn't choose to live like this. Okay. The world is cruel to women like me. I laughed, completely stunned. The world is cruel? You have a job. You have a place to live. You have money to go out with your friends and buy expensive clothes, but you don't want to spend money on food? What's the excuse now? She narrowed her eyes. I don't have to explain my financial choices to you. Oh, now, they were financial choices, but somehow it's normal for me to spend my money cooking for you without you even asking. Huh? She sighed dramatically and threw her head back. Ugh, you don't get it? I'm a woman. I already have enough to deal with. And now you expect me to worry about food too? You have no idea what it's like to have to choose between paying a bill or buying a decent dinner. But you do know what it's like to choose between paying a bill and buying new clothes or going out drinking. Huh? I shot back. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. You don't want to spend money on food because you see it as a waste. You want someone to cover it for you, but you don't want to admit you're mooching. And when you get called out, you play the victim and say it's society's fault. She crossed her arms tighter, her foot tapping against the ground, clearly irritated. Look, if you wanted me to bring food so badly, why didn't you just say so? I laughed again, but this time out of pure disbelief. I've hinted at it plenty of times, Luana. I told you I didn't have enough food. I asked you to bring something. I made it clear I wasn't cooking for you anymore. But instead of getting the message, you ignored it and kept showing up. And now that I'm calling you out directly, you're playing the victim? She sighed and looked down at the ground. Fine. If that's how you want to be, whatever. I thought we were friends, but clearly, all you care about is money. And all you care about is not spending yours. She glared at me, her eyes full of anger. You're awful. I thought you were different, but in the end, you're just like all the others. A selfish man who thinks everyone should fend for themselves and has no understanding of how hard things are for women. I took a step back and pointed toward the street. You can leave now. She stood there for a moment like she couldn't believe I was actually kicking her out. But in the end, she scoffed, stormed down the steps, and walked away without looking back. I don't need your food, okay? I can take care of myself. Great. Do that. As soon as she was gone, I closed the door and let out a long breath. For the first time in months, I felt like my home was truly mine again. I don't need your food, okay? I can take care of myself. Those were Luana's last words that night. Or at least, that's what I thought. Days passed, and my home became my sanctuary again. No unexpected visits, no hiding my food, no persistent presence leeching off me. But the peace didn't last as long as I had hoped. One random Tuesday, after a long, exhausting day at work, I got home and noticed something on the floor near my door. It was an envelope. Curious, I picked it up and saw that it was a handwritten letter from Luana. Hey, it's been a while, huh? I hope you're doing well. I've been thinking a lot, and I think we can get past this silly misunderstanding. I wanted to invite you to dinner, but I already know you'll say you're busy, so I thought I'd just stop by instead. Don't worry, this time I'll bring something. See you at 7 p.m. Hugs. I stared at the letter with a mix of disgust and disbelief. She had no shame, but this time, she wouldn't get away with it. I got home early the next day and went straight to the kitchen. I took a piece of chicken, seasoned it as usual, and let it marinate. Everything seemed normal so far. But then, I grabbed a plastic bag and headed to my cat's litter box. I had to hold my breath while I scooped up a generous amount of cat feces mixed with litter, then returned to the kitchen. I cut it into tiny pieces, mixed it into the sauce, and stirred it well, making sure everything blended in perfectly. The smell wasn't too bad after cooking, but I knew the taste would still be there. At 7 p.m. sharp, the doorbell rang. I opened the door, and there she was, all smiles, holding a single can of cheap soda. Of course, her "this time I'll bring something" meant bringing the bare minimum. Hey, wow, it's been so long. I hope you made something delicious. I'm starving. I flashed my best fake smile and motioned for her to come in. Of course, Luana. I made something special, just for you tonight. She went straight to the table, as always, without even pretending to be polite or considerate. I grabbed the plates and served her first. It smells amazing, she said, already scooping up a big bite. Hope you like it, I said, barely holding back my laughter. She took a generous forkful and shoved it into her mouth. I watched intently. For a second, she furrowed her brows, as if analyzing the taste. But since she was always a cheap freeloader used to eating anything for free, she shrugged and swallowed. It's different but well seasoned. What is it? I stayed silent, just smiling. She took another bite, and another, and another. After more than half the plate was gone, I knew it was time. You really like it, huh? I asked, my eyes glinting with mischief. She smiled. Of course. You always cook so well. That's when I dropped the bomb. Glad to hear it, because the special ingredient was cat shit. Her plate flew out of her hands instantly. What? She screamed, her eyes wide in horror. I crossed my arms and kept my tone calm. That's right. You wanted so badly to eat here, to take advantage of me again. So I thought I'd serve you something special. She ran to the sink, spitting and gagging, frantically rinsing out her mouth. You're insane. You're a fucking psychopath. She screamed, spitting again. I simply shrugged. I tried every way possible to get rid of you, Luana, but you wouldn't take the hint. Now you finally have? She looked at me with pure hatred. You made me eat shit. Then she lunged at me. She tried to slap me, but I caught her wrist in midair. Get out of my house, I said, my voice low but firm. She struggled, spewing every insult she could think of, but I shoved her toward the door. Leave, now! She huffed, grabbed her bag, and stormed out, still spitting on the ground outside. Before leaving, she looked at me with pure disgust and said, You're a horrible person. I never want to see you again. I laughed. Perfect. Mission accomplished. She cursed me a few more times before disappearing into the night. I never saw Luana again after that night. Rumor has it she got sick after dinner. She probably got an infection or ended up in the hospital. But honestly, I didn't care. She had plenty of chances to stop, to respect my boundaries, to understand that friendship doesn't mean exploitation. But she chose to push my patience to the limit. And she paid the price. Do I regret it? Not at all. My home finally became a place of peace again. No unexpected visits. No persistent messages. No leech trying to take advantage. And that was the last time anyone dared to invite themselves to my dinner without being welcome.